So a while back, I did a podcast titled "Parental Pressure versus Personal Purpose," and I've been podcasting for a while now, and I would say that podcast was one of the hardest to do. It was one of the hardest podcasts I've had to put out there, and I'll tell you why. In that podcast, I had to advise a young man who was in school and who is in school and is studying a course that he's not enjoying, and not only is not enjoying it, he's failing at it. He's failing to the point whereby he has himself an extra year in school, and so the course is even seems to be delaying the progress of his life. And he asked me a question about what to do, whether to change his course or to stay, because he said he had spoken with his parents about it, and his parents said he's already in his third year, he might as well just finish that course. And I could tell that this young man was very unhappy and didn't know what to do. So when he asked me this question, I I immediately thought of what to tell him. And I resorted back to who I was before I turned 40. Now, why I say recording that podcast was very hard, and what I mean to resorting back to who I was before I turned 40 was, I want to give some context here. Throughout my life, I've been a very diplomatic person. I know how to use words. I know how to communicate with people to get them to do what I like, what I want. I know how to use words. Um, and for a very long time in my life, I haven't used my words very well. I haven't. I had not been effective in using my words, and maybe not effective, but I had not been. I hadn't used my words for what I would say good. I didn't use my ability to communicate as a vehicle for truth and honesty. I used it as a vehicle to get what I wanted, to win people, to get favors. And so I was a very diplomatic person. I I wanted people to like me. And so a lot of times when people ask me stuff, I'll just tell them, oh, I'm not the kind of person to tell you something was not good if it was going to hurt your feelings, but it might be detrimental to you, but I just won't be able to tell you, especially if I feel like it's not going to allow you continue to like me as a person, or it's going to ruffle feathers, or it's going to stir the waters a bit or shake tables. I was that kind of person that didn't want any table to shake, and I didn't want any feathers ruffled. So sometimes I would subvert the truth or massage it. You understand? And I realized that it was misleading to a lot of people. But you see, when I turned 40, something broke in me. Something actually snapped. And I said, Tola, you are not living your life the way you ought to be living your life. And you can do more with this gift of communication that you have if you are willing to hold on and have the courage to tell the truth. You would give out more value. Now, it's not like I was particularly intent on deceiving people. I wasn't deceitful, but at the same time, I wasn't courageous enough to go there, especially with people that I loved. So I was not the kind of person to tell them what they needed to hear as opposed to what they wanted to hear. But when I turned 40, I had this, I just had this great leading in my heart that I had to let that go if I was going to go into this new phase of my life and have impact on people. And so I I decided through the help of God that I would use my communication skills and my insight, discernment, and wisdom for truth. And so when this guy asked this question, The truth was laid in my heart. But funny enough, as I was coming to record the answer to this question, I'd already made up in my mind that I would tell him what sounded good, not stir the waters, because this is something about a guy, his parents, what his parents want. Who am I to tell him, give him this advice that seems to go against what his parents want? So, who am I to give him this advice that will stir up the relationship and might bring up some conflict between him and his parents? So I'd made up my mind that I was just going to come and tell him something very safe, try to talk to your parents some more, try to, be patient and stuff. But I knew that was not the truth in my heart. And so, you see, as I was recording, I just saw it come out of my mouth. I just said, you know what? You better go and change that course, or else it's going to derail your life. And as I said it, I was like, oh my goodness, I can't believe I'm saying this. But then I let it go. And after the podcast, I was so, oh my, I don't know. I'm not used to telling this kind of heavy truth. And a lot of people think this podcasting thing is easy for me. There are a lot of things I've had to say on the podcast that the Tola himself would not say. I wouldn't go there. You understand? I wouldn't open up myself to some level of criticism. I wouldn't open up myself to some level of finger pointing. You understand? Saying, oh, he's the one that said we should do this. I'm a very safe guy. I used to be a very safe guy. But I realized that if I want to give the value that God has put into me, I cannot think of safety. The truth is not very safe, and clarity is not very beautiful. So I've come to embrace that. But when I did that podcast, I felt a lot of turmoil within me. And I was like, God, why do I have to do this? Why? Why do I have to? No, why? I felt very uncomfortable. And that's why I want someone listening out there to know that you do not judge whether you are doing the right thing by how you feel, by your emotions. You don't judge by your emotions, because sometimes your emotions will contravene your spiritual leadings. They would go against them. You understand? So a lot of times I just feel bad. That you feel bad doesn't mean you shouldn't keep going. It doesn't. It doesn't mean you shouldn't keep going. So you see, I felt bad after doing that podcast, and I just said, God, just help me, give me some strength and some reassurance to keep doing this thing, because I can't keep telling people really heavy stuff, even though I'm convinced it's the truth. And the next day, I got a message from one of my mentees, and I want to read the message out today on the podcast. And I think if all I can do is just read out that message, I think it will go a long way to just fulfilling today's podcast. Because this message I got from my mentee really sums up the essence of what I'm trying, what I tried to communicate in that podcast called Parental Pressure versus Personal Purpose. And he said, "Good evening, Uncle T. I just finished listening to your podcast, Parental Pressure versus Personal Purpose. And I just wanted to concur to what you said on the podcast and share a bit of my story. So I got admission to study health education in Uniben, but at the time, I really didn't know what I wanted to do. And my mom wanted me to study medicine, and I couldn't get the cutoff mark for medicine, so I just put a health-related course. I actually didn't even know health education was an education course. I thought it was same as health science. Anyway, I was in health education till 300 level. Then suddenly, I felt like this isn't what I wanted with my life. And I never really liked the health related stuff anyway. So in my 300 level, I decided to write JAM afresh and put in for computer science this time. I remember calling my mom and telling her, and she was surprised, and was even more surprised that I wanted to start afresh in the same school where my mates were already in 300 level. She supported my decision and was like, she admires my courage. When I eventually graduated with a 2-1, I eventually graduated with a 2-1 in computer science. The decision was a turning point in my life. Everything I'm doing now was a result of that singular decision. Looking back, I know that I wouldn't have been happy if I finished in health education, even if I became a doctor. I know I wouldn't have been happy with myself because deep down, I know that's not what I wanted. Currently, I run a design agency and I teach other designers. I started taking care of my bills in school from design, and I started design because of the singular choice of switching to computer science. I would have been I would never have been on this path if I didn't take that decision. You know, when I got this message, I was very glad, and it was a validation to the fact that sometimes doing the right thing, sometimes doing the right thing can seem retrogressive, can seem messy, can seem to be taking you back and breaking protocol, might seem improper. And I want to thank my mentee for sharing this with me and with every other person listening to the podcast today. I need someone out there to realize that some of the most important decisions you would make in your life would start out controversial. Some of the most important decisions you make in your life would start out misunderstood. I need someone to know that. Some of the most important decisions you make in your life would have more opposition than anything you've ever done before. It's not always going to be smooth. Doing the right thing a lot of times is not very easy. The process of doing right is not very smooth. The path towards the right destination a lot of times is very rocky, full of thorns. Sometimes you will hurt yourself. Sometimes relationships will be hurt. Some relationships will be broken. I need someone to know that. I need someone to know that. It takes a lot of courage to do the right thing. And I commend my mentee, for I never even knew this part of his story till he shared it with me. Never knew. So someone who went to school to study one particular thing and got to his 300 level, had one more year left. But then he had the clarity of mind to say, this is not what I want to do with my life. I'm not enjoying this anymore. And he went back to write JAM, something he had written 3 years earlier. This was an obstacle that he had surmounted, JAM. He went back to do it. And went back to being a junior in school again, a fresher again. Somebody really needs to listen to this right now. Doing the right thing, doing that thing you're really convinced about, sometimes can mean following what seems to be an ugly path. You see, a lot of people are unfulfilled in life. Unfulfilled in life for 3 reasons. The first reason is the fear of starting over. A lot of people have this fear of starting over, going back to the beginning, starting all over again. Just like with what my mentee did, went back to year 1. From year 3, went back to year 1. A lot of us What's holding us back from fulfillment is that we do not want to go back to the beginning. The fear of starting over. A lot of us see starting over as failure. We see it as failure. But we don't understand that starting over can be one of the most courageous things a person can do. Starting over might be one of the most virtuous things a person can do. It's a show of character. To be able to say, I'm willing to go back to the beginning. I'm willing to start over again. Very important. The fear of starting over is what is stopping from people from having any form of fulfillment in their lives. I want you to know that a lack of fulfillment is something that spreads. If you're unfulfilled in one area in your life, give it long enough, it will seep into another area of your life. If you're unfulfilled at work, give it long enough, you'll be unfulfilled in your marriage. Give it long enough, you're unfulfilled in your parenting. Give it long enough, you'll be unfulfilled in your spirituality. Give it long enough, you're unfulfilled in your health. Unfulfillment is like a cancer, it spreads. Some of you need to go back. The fear of starting over. We think it is too ugly to start over. And to be very honest with you, starting over can be a very ugly thing. But sometimes a very necessary thing. Sometimes it's necessary to go through that ugly path called going back to the beginning, called a hard reset. You see, God is so kind. And when we read the Bible, we need to understand that God is perfect. God is absolutely perfect, all-knowing, no flaws. But there are some things that God allowed to happen so that He can lay out certain principles for us. When you read the Bible and you read about a man called Noah, Noah is known for building an ark. Now, this ark was built so that he, his family, and some animals can be in it while God does a hard reset on the world. God Himself said, I will start over. I'll wipe out everything and start again. What the Bible is trying to tell us here is that there are times in your life where you need to start over. So if anybody tells you going back to the beginning means you are a weak character, it's a sign of failure. No, it's not. Because God is not weak and God is definitely not a failure. But then He put this down for us so that we can know that there's a principle called starting over, which sometimes is messy. A lot of times is messy. The story of Noah and the destruction of the world was a very messy one. We have no idea how messy it was. It was ugly, messy. I don't think we understand what it was like for Noah to be in that ark with those animals while every other person in the world was getting drowned out. Can you imagine how much screaming there would have been? Because people actually saw that they were about to die. Do you know how much screaming there would have been? Have you ever seen a video of a ship that has capsized in the middle of the ocean? Maybe one of these people trying to get away from Africa and trying to be illegal immigrants in some European countries. If you see videos, you hear them scream in the water as they drown, as they begin to know that the inevitable is about to happen, death. Imagine that happening to the whole world. It must have been chaotic. It must have been traumatizing. You hear humans scream You hear animals shout and make noises before you now hear a very eerie silence, nothing. That starting over was ugly, but it was necessary. Your starting over might be no different. Still as messy. Messy seems like it's just I want to start over. You see, my mentee was kind of lucky because his mom aligned with his starting over. But someone listening there, you might not be that lucky. You might be in school just saying, I want to go back and just study this thing. And everybody will turn against you. Your parents, your siblings, your lecturers, everybody. It seems like it comes with more losses than gains. But you know it's the right thing to do, but it's ugly. Some of you want to start over a career. You are leaving a job and I just want to leave, but your boss doesn't want you to leave. And it gets kind of ugly. A boss that you've always gotten along with just seems to hate you all of a sudden. Does that mean you shouldn't leave? No. Starting over gets ugly. Starting over gets ugly. Some marriages are having issues because they are unwilling to start over. They're like, we are 20 years into this marriage. Why should we now go back and start seeing some therapists and start asking me to express myself to my wife and my wife express herself to me, and then we start acting like a couple that got married 1 year ago? An external person starts talking to us about our marriage when we are meant to be veterans. We can't start over. We can't start over on that. Some of you need to start over. Some of you need to renew your vows. Start again. Some of you are saying, I'm not willing to do that. Starting over is too ugly. Going to those therapist sessions, too ugly. You don't want to go back to that. You just want to maintain status quo. It's better to seem advanced, like if you're advancing. So you're counting years. Oh, we are 5 years, 6 years into this. Than to seem like a beginner who is learning again. But sometimes you need to start over. To find fulfillment, you need to start over. The second reason why people find it hard to find fulfillment and they're living unfulfilled lives is because people have a fear of not following through. The fear of not following through. Following through on something that you seem to be invested in. And I will explain this. There are a lot of people, they realize where they are is not taking them to where they want to be. But what they think is how far they've been going down that path that led them to where they are right now, and how much they have spent, how much they have put in. So a lot of people feel, I might as well just finish it. Then maybe when we get to the end of this thing, we can start doing this new thing. So many people. A lot of people in their work, they know that their work is not leading them to a path that they feel within them they should be on. But they're like, I've been working in this place for the past 10 years. I've risen to this position. You know what? When I retire, I will start making cakes. When I retire, I will start taking photos. When I retire, I'll start writing books. But I'm already committed to this thing. I might as well follow through. See how much has been invested. Where would I write? Where would I? In what account? What ledger would I write this thing? I've spent hundreds of millions in educating myself in this area. I might as well just see it to the very end. After which, I can close that chapter and start a new one. The fear of not following through on something you are greatly invested in is what blocks a lot of us from fulfillment. There's a story in the Bible. I can't remember exactly where it is, but I think you can Google it. There's a story of a man. His name was King Amaziah. He was about to go to war. And in going to war, he realized he didn't have enough men. In his own mind, he didn't have enough men. So he went and he got some men from some other place, so from some other settlement. He went and he rented some men. He bought some soldiers. And it cost him quite a lot of silver to get them. But he thought, if I buy these men, I should be ready for war. So he bought the men and it cost him a lot. But then he met a prophet. I can't remember what prophet he was. And the prophet told him, these men that you bought, return them back. You don't need them. God wants you to win without them. And in the Bible, it says that it's in the book of Kings. I don't know whether it's First King, Second King, but just Google King Amaziah in the Bible. And he told the prophet, how can I return? Do you know how much I just spent on this man? I spent a fortune. I might as well just follow through because I'm already invested. And the prophet told him, it's better to lose out in terms of the money you spent than to lose out on what God is asking you to do. Give these men away and count your losses. Just cut your losses. Don't count them. Cut them. Cut your losses. Just cut them. And Amaziah did that. And he won the battle. But the men were very offended. Now why waste our time? When we've already said we are going to battle with you, you've already paid us. Some of you are like that. You want to follow through. You want to follow through on a faulty path because you feel you've gone too far on that path. Is that need to follow through? I might as well just finish. And it affects us even on the smallest of things. We waste our time. Some of you are watching something, you don't like it, you're not enjoying it, it's not making sense. But then you're like, okay, I might as well just follow through and just finish. But you're wasting your time. You're convinced, you're not getting anything out of it. You're convinced you don't like the content. You're convinced. Stop it. I'm like that. And I thank God for the grace to be like that. I don't waste my time. I might watch something, watching it, first episode, second episode, I don't like it. I don't like this series. I'm not connecting with it. Okay, I've downloaded the whole season, but then, well, my data gone, but I can't want to waste my time. I'm done. I'm reading a book. I spent a lot of money buying that book. There's a book I bought some months ago. The title looked so good. And so I bought it. And I started reading it. First page, second page, first chapter, got to second chapter, wasn't making much sense. I wasn't liking the style of the guy writing. I just closed it and I put it away. No need committing to something that I know I'm not connecting with. Why am I committing to it? I'm wasting my time. It's a very big book. And I just need to cut my losses. It's not working. But some people will say, I have bought this. I have bought it. I might as well struggle through it. We take our time for granted because we always think that there's tomorrow to do stuff. I will do it when I retire. I will do the right thing when I'm done with this thing. A lot of us are not fulfilled because we want to follow through on faulty paths. A faulty path, but you want to follow through. Let's just finish it. I've started already. No, you can stop. You can stop. The third reason why people don't find fulfillment is the fear of being unpopular. The fear of being unpopular. The fear that what you are deciding to do is not a popular decision. It doesn't go down well with other people around you, especially the people you love. doesn't go down well with them. Doesn't go down well with my parents, doesn't go down well with my sibling, doesn't go down well with my wife, doesn't go down well with my pastor, doesn't go down well with my children, doesn't go down well with tradition, doesn't go down well with society, doesn't go down well with culture, doesn't go down well with religion, doesn't go down well with other people on the outside. It's not a popular decision. It's not popular. It's the need to fit in and to be accepted. There are many of us today, God is leading you down a path. You are the first person that will go down that path. The first person. It's not usual. It's going to seem strange. But then you need to go down that path. Some of us are looking for too much validation. The fear that you're leading is not popular and is not going to make you popular. Or it's going to make you popular for the wrong reason. People will be pointing at you. Oh, that's the guy that, decided to go down this path. The lady that decided to drop it all to do this unusual thing. Society will mark you as a loony. Someone that has lost their mind. Some people will mark you as someone that their children should never associate with. Don't end up like them. Sometimes doing the right thing would not be popular. Would not be popular. Would not start out being popular. And to be honest with you, sometimes it will not even end up being popular. That means it won't be popular even till you die. But we're not looking for popularity with men. We are looking for popularity with God. That's where fulfillment comes from. What you're doing might not be popular. The way you're doing it might not be popular, might be highly criticized. Highly criticized. But in doing it is the only way you will find fulfillment. I think somebody needs to listen to this today and to understand that the right thing is not always easy. The right thing is not always easy. Going down the right path might need you to reset and go back to the beginning. Going down the right path might need you to abruptly stop something. To abruptly stop something that you've invested in, that you're highly invested in. To abruptly stop it. Going down the right path might seem wasteful. Going down the right path might mean having some disagreements with some people that care about you and that you care about too. Going down the right path is not always very easy. It isn't. And I need to emphasize this for someone listening in today that has clarity of what to do, but then you are held back because it seems ugly, because it seems like it will be challenging, because it seems like you would lose some things, because it seems you can already see that it seems like it comes with some battles. Doesn't make it wrong. And I want you to know that even just the very way I was able to do that podcast and I felt uncomfortable about it, but then after feeling uncomfortable, I told God, please send me encouragement. Send me encouragement, something to just stabilize me again to continue to do this thing, not to shrink back from telling the truth the way it is. God sent me my mentee with this very, very encouraging, validating testimonial or testimony. He can do it for you too. He can help you through the ugliness of walking down the right path. He can help you through the awkwardness of walking down the right path. He can help you through the resistance you will have to face when you're walking down the right path. My name is Tola T.A. Alabi, and this is the TA Podcast.